parallel timelines which you can say?
There
to each?
are different timelines of different lengths on different problems.
And you're okay
I
with
think
segmenting it like
I
that?
think it would be a mistaken analysis to try and crunch everything and make it into a integrated response to a very specific situation. That's what. So there may be, today, yes, of course, there is a global landscape. I'm not impervious to it. But I'm telling you that many of the things, for example, boundary, this is the 24th or 25th round of talks between the SRs. Now, what they decided on boundary has been actually a subject of conversation for multiple rounds, some of them for 15 years. So they are not necessarily new concepts which were decided now because something is happening on some other account. So I want you to understand there is an evolution, there's a flow of that relationship. There are other relationships, but don't make this connect so tight and make it a causality. That's not the reality.
I think the idea is there a newfound political comfort with China which can lead to certain predictability on the economic side, particularly on the business side?
Okay, let me put it to you very simply. We have always maintained that if the border is stable, predictable, free of incidents, then there is a natural improvement in the rest of the relationship. So the border has been stable for some time now. And as the disengagement was completed, naturally it was logical that there would be an improvement in other areas. So I don't want you to overdraw, it's not like there's some great U-turn and now everything is great. I don't want you to go the other way around also, that the relationship is only full of problems and everything in it is negative. I think there is a sort of a ground somewhere in between. We do trade, there are things which are important for us. Again, if you look at the interests of the farmers of the country, I think a predictable flow of fertilizers is important. I think when you look at people in the infrastructure field, for them getting machinery out of China is important. For our auto industry, having uninterrupted flow of magnets is important. I think these are legitimate issues of our industry. We should take it up with China. And we should, if there are blockages, I think we owe it to the businesses and to the workers of India that we should address those issues.
The issue which we've been debating over the last 2 years is dependencies and supply chains. So the advice which is in the current geopolitical environment, it is the unpredictability around supply chains, around building dependencies which then can lead to sudden shocks across industries. What's the geopolitical mantra for supply chains as we move ahead? Looking at, even though the frost settles on the India-China relationship, a new frost comes on the India-US, as you say, these things can be temporary. But looking at supply chains, how do you...
Say, Pranab, right now, what to do about supply chains, you shouldn't be looking here, you should be looking there. Okay?
I said the geopolitical mantra.
But the geopolitical, I'll tell you the answer. I think recent experience has taught us that don't be excessively dependent on a single supply chain or a single country source. Recent experience has also taught us don't be dependent on a single market. Okay? So it isn't just from the sourcing to the production, it is also from the production to the market. Now, that doesn't mean you switch off from somewhere. It means you diversify, it means you hedge. And most important, which is the continuous messaging from the government, it means you do more at home. Now, we know more at home is hard work, it is complicated, it requires a different, kind of effort, even particularly from business. That is why the emphasis on Atmanirbharta. So, looking at the geopolitics of our current end, I would really analyze or prescribe. I've got problems at both ends. I've got a problem on the sourcing and the supply chain. I got a problem post-production in the markets. So both are volatile. Both hold their own complications. And the best way of dealing with both is to de-risk it by having multiple options of supply chains coming into India, multiple options of production going out of India, but most important in India, which has a greater ability to plug as many parts of the supply chain, and nobody can do it perfectly, I accept that, as possible.
So Atmanirbharta is look at as much as you can.
Absolutely. And look, again, it's completely understandable that people look at costs. After all, what other metric would a business use other than cost? It's a no-brainer. But today, there is a cost to the risk, But it isn't pure numerical cost. There is the uncertainty of supplies has a cost. The uncertainty of markets has a cost. I think they need to be factored in.
But if you look at the trend since the last decade, maybe, everybody is weaponizing their commercial advantage. Say, if it was China, we talked about weaponizing supply chains. Today, you see Donald Trump, I would say weaponizing tariffs in one way, is a form of weaponizing commerce. Do you think we have lesser options when it comes to that on the table? Both in terms of projecting and dealing with it?
Okay. Even if you take away that hard term weaponize and say, how indispensable are you to everybody else? Because, you need to be indispensable if you have to weaponize. So you've got to be able to consume things or produce things which only you can, or you can do in sufficient manner that other people have to make adjustments for you. I think that, in a way, is part of the Atmanirbharta that we are trying to encourage, which is that the more you are able to produce, the more unique things you are able to produce, the more you get into the global supply chains. The fact that our consumption, because consumption can also be a power. It's not just production which is a power. So, at the end of the day, our position in the world would be very much a function of how we are able, how unique we are, how important we are, how to that extent indispensable we are to global economics, to the production, the supply chain, the production, the consumption, the entire eco cycle.